Hey, Lightning fans, Caley Chelios, joined by Lightning head coach Jon Cooper. Socially distancing, Jon, day 3 of training camp. It's been a pretty eventful week, obviously, with hockey back, and I think the players are able to scrimmage today for the first time. For you, just day 3 now, how are you adjusting to the new health and safety protocols, and how is it affecting the way you're preparing for training camp?
Yeah, it's definitely different. To be honest, it really hasn't affected the on ice. I think that's the one time you're kind of feel back to normal is the second we step on the ice. It's the second you step off that everything is a little different. It's little things. It's because we get tested in the morning, so you can't eat beforehand where normally you would eat. So you have to bring food with you, which is different because we can't have food in the arena that's cooked here. So it's just little things like that. Obviously, the mask wearing is different. The guys have been great though, doing that. Everybody is wearing masks everywhere we go. So that is a little different. But the bottom line is once we get when we get on the ice, everything's the same. And there's been a lot of excitement because I think the guys, they've been cooped up for 4 months and haven't had a lot of social interaction. And so it's been great to have them on the ice.
You mentioned just not being able to do kind of normal stuff like eating breakfast together and just the day-to-days away from the rink. When you look at kind of what the bubble is going to be like and the players not being able to have that kind of interaction with each other that they're so used to having and kind of that bonding that you have going into the playoffs, how do you think that if at all will kind of impact the team, and how do you create that playoff-like mentality to bring the guys together as the coach?
Yeah, it's going to be a little different. I think though, like once you're in the bubble for a couple days and everybody's been tested a couple times, I think you're going to have your meal room, and you're going to have your, I guess, treatment area that will kind of mask as a lounge as well. So I think we're going to spend a lot of time together. And the one difference is when you're on the road, players go in groups and stuff like that to eat with each other and different restaurants, but it's almost world championship styles. Actually, ironically, I've got a world championships jersey behind me, but if you really think about it, it's going to be similar to that. When you go to world championships, you're usually gone for the first couple weeks without families. And so that'll be very similar to world championships. All your meals are in a room together, so the team is constantly together. And then the games are, Worlds, they were noon, 4 and 8 o'clock, very similar to how the games are going to be in the hub city of Toronto for us. So I think the guys that played at Worlds will have, be a little familiar with the setup. But there's going to be a lot of time where it's just us. And the one good thing is being around these guys, we've got a pretty close team. So it'll be no problem for us.
And I know it's new for everybody kind of coming into the training camp with fewer guys and no one's really at an advantage here, but just kind of taking it one day at a time. Everything's pretty new right now, but what to you has kind of stood out from this training camp compared to others when you do have less players, a different roster than how you ended the regular season, some new faces on the ice? What's kind of stood out to you as the biggest difference as you kind of evaluate, the way things are going right now?
Well, to be honest, probably the biggest difference is how good the camp is right now. And I know we're only 3 days in, but when you only have 30 players as opposed to having 67, it really, there's a lot of talent on the ice. And so when you go to training camps in September, you might have some junior players there. They're all good hockey players, but some kids are really young. They're not really expected to make your team. They're in training camp a lot for the scouts to see and for management to see and for them to get acclimated to our organization. But everybody here everybody knows each other. Almost all of them have played NHL games. So, and you thought there was going to be a little bit of rust. Surprisingly, they've been great. The competitive environment's been excellent. They're in way better shape than I anticipated. And I think a lot of that has been driven by the fact that everybody out there is a heck of a hockey player. And so they've gone from 4 months off to a pretty high level of play in a short amount of time.
I know it's hard to go back to the end of the regular season at all, but just the way you guys were playing at that point, and when you're looking at film or kind of looking at some of the systems again right now at camp, how much of an effort or emphasis will you guys put towards the special teams right now with this group?
Well, there's no doubt the special teams are going to be important, and we've got to get our, you look back at the season, and as a staff, when you have the time we've had, you really get to, it's different because when your season ends and you got the summer, you come into training camp, you're looking to tweak things or improve on things. But the bottom line is you got a different team. All the teams you're playing are different. It's a different season. This is unique in the sense that the team is the same. We're not, your roster's not changing. The players you're playing against aren't changing. All you're having is a little bit of a pause. So we got to kind of reset and see what we were doing well and what we weren't. And for the most part, we've done a lot of things well this year. And then you got to kind of find those areas. And as you noted, like special teams is a big one. And our penalty kill struggled early in the year and then did a heck of a job to get back. And at some point, we were in the top 6 or 7 in the league. And then the power play was the opposite. The power play was outstanding for, months on end. And it just seemed to, Stammer got injured, Hetty got hurt. We started getting some injuries, and our power play stalled a little bit. So I think, if you're going to get any light out of this pause may have helped, us in the special teams department. But pretty long-winded answer to sit here and say, yeah, it's going to be pivotal. And after these 3 days, we didn't do any special teams, but we'll be doing it from here on out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jon. We appreciate it as always, and look forward to checking back with you as camp goes leading into that exhibition game.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kate. And to say it's the first time since we paused on March 11th or whenever that was, and you've become a new mom. So I was wondering how. Congratulations. How's that going?
Thank you. It's great. We're doing well. My we went from seeing each other maybe 3 times from August to March or February. And now we spent the entire quarantine with each other, every second of it with the baby. So it was a big adjustment for both of us, but it was awesome. We didn't want to kill each other, which is great. And the baby's been absolutely amazing. We're excited. Baby Bolts. Ours was a baby Bolt, and so was Luke Shen's son also.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Can't wait to see you back.
Yeah, can't wait to be back eventually, hopefully for the playoffs.